Hi, my name is Dr. Daniel Fox, licensed psychologist in the state of Texas, expert in the area of personality disorders, and in today's video, we're going to talk about the act and process of self-forgiveness. If you like the video, please subscribe. Thumbs up are great, little alarms are great, all those other things that come with YouTube videos and stuff like that. If you like my channel and you like stuff I'm doing, do it. Get in there. And also, I've heard from a lot of folks who say that the videos are beneficial for themselves and they've been sharing it. And I think that's wonderful, because my goal for this video and all of my videos is so that people can learn strategies to help themselves and not feel so stuck with their borderline personality disorder or BPD traits, and learn how to get over those things. So today we're going to talk about self-forgiveness, and let's get into it. What prevents you from forgiving yourself? And in a lot of ways, it's that core component of borderline personality disorder and borderline and BPD traits that keeps this sense of shame, guilt, fear, and doubt in place, that feeds your BPD, that keeps your BPD in place. And it's this act of shame and guilt and fear and doubt, and that becomes this cycle, and it feeds what's called the shame spiral. And the shame spiral is that once you experience this issue of shame, you begin to spiral downward, downward, downward. And BPD, what that is, if you've ever seen the movie Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, they're on these carts, right? And that's a lot like what's happening. It's going so fast and you're moving so quickly because the cart is your borderline personality disorder. And you're in the cart of BPDs, your BPD cart, and you're zipping through all of these rails so quickly, and you're spiraling downward so quickly. It's hard to hit those brakes because you're overwhelmed. But your BPD has also taught you over time that you deserve it. And all of these things factor into that inability or that extreme difficulty in forgiving yourself and managing the issues and problems that you have in place. So I did a video on shame, and I'll add that here. But I also did a video on BPD lens, and the BPD lens is critical here. The BPD lens, what that does is it distorts your perceptions of the world around you. And what it does is it puts this lens of BPD. So you tend to see other instances and other individuals and factors in your life as supporting your BPD. You support your maladaptive core content. Now there's maladaptive core content and there's adaptive core content. And with your BPD, what happens is that maladaptive core content becomes so strong. And sometimes it's abandonment, emptiness, it's self-hatred, it's reluctance, it's a sense of brokenness for a lot of folks. And what that does is your BPD lens then, when you see the outside, when you see someone who is perhaps positive and influential, and when you see them and they're trying to do good things for you, you resist that, because that BPD lens is telling you they're terrible, they're horrible, they're going to hurt you, all these other things. And perhaps what's happened over time is these experiences that you've had, perhaps you have wronged other people, perhaps you have done things that you shouldn't have done, perhaps you've made mistakes. But here's the thing, whether you have BPD traits or your borderline personality disorder, we all make mistakes, all of us. And I think accepting that is the first key. You have to understand that the mistakes we make are learning experiences. I think it becomes problematic when we continue to engage in things that hurt others, when we continue to engage in behaviors and instances and that continue to cause problems, not only for ourselves, but for others. And when we look back at those experiences and we're like, oh, I shouldn't have done this. This means that I am, right? And you fill that in. That's your BPD lens talking to you. It's hard to forgive yourself when you're in a constant state of just self-blame, self-guilt, and fear and doubt, and you're overwhelmed with all of that. So what we need to do is we need to recognize that. You have to accept that the past is the past. Now, I would challenge you to go an entire day and do nothing but good things for others. Now, a lot of folks, even though people misconceive BPD and BPD traits, that they think that people with these issues that are BPD and BPD traits, of course, right, that they're just horrible, manipulative, person who's out hurting others and getting so much satisfaction from it. That is such a distorted view. So don't buy into that. Your BPD lens wants you to, but don't buy into that. Resist that, because it's not factual. Okay. I have not found that to be true. I found all of my clients that are along that BPD spectrum are struggling to be good, to feel good about themselves, to not experience so much shame and guilt, fear and doubt, and get over it and forgive themselves for it. But no one else can forgive you. No one else can combat your BPD lens. Now, a therapist, mental health provider, or others can help you, give you the tools to do that, but it's ultimately going to have to be you. Don't get caught up. Your BPD lens doesn't like videos like this, because it's telling you that guy doesn't know, or you're getting frustrated, or you're becoming afraid of some of the things that I'm saying, and that's okay. That's part of the process. But accepting your past is that first step to forgiving yourself. If you can forgive yourself, that helps you to move forward, and it takes the power away from your BPD lens and all those aspects of BPD that keep you trapped in those maladaptive beliefs, behaviors, and patterns. So accepting your past is the first component. Now, we also want to realize that, do you have realistic expectations for reparations? And that is, so you wronged somebody. So you did something that you shouldn't have done. So how can you try to repair that relationship? How can you try to repair that instance? Is it realistic? If you say, oh, I'm never going to hurt them again, and that's good, but define what that means. How did you hurt that person? And I think that also goes to sort of trying to repair that relationship and going back to that individual, and you have to accept the responsibility for it. Now, the R word is a dirty word. A lot of people don't like it, but the R word is a reality. And I think that taking that responsibility for your behavior is critical. Your BPD lens is going to scare the bejesus out of you. That's right, bejesus out of you, because what's going to happen is it's going to start telling you, oh, they're going to hate you. They're going to make fun of you. They're going to laugh at you. They're going to hit you. They're going to hurt you. Now, of course, if you feel like you're going to be physically harmed, then, of course, then things change very much, and physical safety is critical. But right, your BPD lens is going to tell you all these things to prevent you from doing it, because you have to take that responsibility. And that sense of responsibility, it's uncomfortable at first, right? Nobody likes it, but it empowers you. When you take responsibility for your choices and your beliefs and your behaviors and your patterns, you then are empowered. You are empowered to take control of your life, and you can totally do it. Don't listen to your BPD lens. Don't listen to that shame and guilt, fear, and doubt. You can overcome that. Now, the last thing, and one of the hardest things, is leaving your past in the past, to commit yourself to doing it differently. Whatever that is that you're blaming yourself for, that you feel like you don't deserve that forgiveness for, I want you to think about what that is. And if it's something massive, don't start with something massive. You start with something small, right? The best architects throughout generations started with little things, right? There were Lincoln logs, and then there were Legos, and then there were sticks before the Lincoln logs. But all of these things. So you're going to start with the sticks. Start with the small sticks. Maybe you're not ready for Lincoln logs. That's okay. Start with the sticks and start building something. Maybe do something small, someone whom you feel like you've harmed or you've wronged. Now, don't go through your life saying sorry to everybody. And I see that in a lot of BPD folks, but because I think what they're doing is they get into the situation where they're apologizing for themselves, for who they are. Don't do that. And I would encourage you and discourage you. I would encourage you not to do it and discourage you from doing it, because you don't have to apologize for who you are. Just do things that help you feel good about yourself, positively about yourself, and also do nice things for others. Do kind things for others. A lot of the folks that I know with BPD want to do nice things for others, but they get stuck in this muck and this mire of all of this fear, shame, guilt, and doubt. And that drives them to have so much anxiety that they end up having what's called a borderline episode. And the borderline episode is how you respond with all of those maladaptive patterns and surface structure behaviors that cause all of these problems. And when you have those problems, we have to go back and take the responsibility for it, apologize for it, and do it differently. And that's the critical component. So when you're building with your sticks, your Lincoln Logs, and your Legos, what you're doing is you're going to go back and say, okay, you know what? I wronged Jim or Sally. I don't know, right? And what is that? How did you do that? And then how can you apologize? Take responsibility. Now understand, you may have to take an earful. Sometimes when I make mistakes, I recognize I'm going to get an earful on this one. And I do, and I understand it. But that earful is not going to be months long, because at some point, enough is enough. I'm not going to allow myself to be abused emotionally or verbally or in any other way. And that's our boundaries, right? And I've done videos on boundaries as well, is that what we're willing to accept. BPD, folks that are along that BPD spectrum tolerate a lot of abuse because they feel like they deserve it because of their shame, fear, guilt, and doubt. And that goes to that BPD lens. So I want you to resist that. You're going to have to take an earful, but the earful, one instance, okay, shouldn't be 9 hours long, in my opinion, but you're going to have to make that determination. You're going to have to be the good decision maker. How much are you willing to hear? To me, that's long. I think someone telling me you wronged me by doing A, B, C, D, okay, and I'll acknowledge that. I said, yeah, I shouldn't have done that, and you're absolutely right. And then we move forward. Now you're going to keep tagging me with it as we go forward. See, then we're going to have a discussion saying, you accepted the apology. If we accept the apology, let's move forward. But then you have to forgive yourself. You have to say that, okay, this is what my reparation is, and this is accepting who you are, the good parts of you, the healthy parts of you, and also recognizing the responsibility for your behavior in interactions. But don't take 100%. You have to take a part of it and do it differently going forward. But I don't think that you have to be the constant receptacle for all the negativity. And we've hit on so many topics, and so many topics that lead to other topics, and I don't want the video to be 9 hours long. But I think my hope is what you take away from this video is that you have to accept that your past is your past. I think you have to have realistic expectations for reparations, and I think you try to repair and do things differently. And by doing things differently, you can change a lot of aspects. But again, it's about taking responsibility for your behavior, recognizing that that BPD spectrum and those traits and beliefs are going to be driving you towards more maladaptive beliefs, behaviors, and patterns and perceptions of self and others as well. And I hope that you find this video helpful. Please let me know. I can revisit the topic in the future if you'd like. And thank you very much. And have a good day and take care. Bye-bye.